Hello. As it's tinnitus week, I thought I'd make a little video to describe my condition, my experience, and see if anybody has any thoughts, if it helps anybody. Maybe somebody can help me. Who knows? Um, I presume everybody knows what tinnitus is or has an idea anyway. Maybe that's where we should start. Um, People think of it as a ringing in the ears. Now, that's not like, a school teacher ringing a bell or twinkly bells like fairies are going to appear or something like that. It's usually constant tones. I have about three, four different tones that bother me. Um, the main one I have, essentially, it sounds like an old 1950s TV turning on and warming up. There's like an electrical buzz hum, but at a very high pitch. And I have that pretty much all the time. Um, it rises and falls in intensity. And as I say, I've had this now for about 3 years at this sort of level. About 2 years ago, it was very intense. I couldn't sleep. I was getting maybe through 2 to 3 hours sleep a night, um, and it was wrecking my life. I had severe depression, and it really did make you wonder, question what's the point of going on, because it was just horrendous. And then I discovered, or someone recommended to me, getting some Bluetooth headphones, like a headband, and try masking it with some sounds. And I downloaded a rain noise app that plays a little bit of twinkly piano and a thunderstorm, and I found that masked it beautifully. Suddenly I couldn't hear the noise at all, and I just fell asleep. And I've been sleeping with that ever since, which makes it a little bit awkward for hearing the dog when she needs to go out in the middle of the night for a pee, but sorry, Mia. That's my beautiful wife who suffers and unfortunately gets woken up because I don't hear anything. But there we go. So, yeah, if you are having trouble sleep, that would be my absolute recommendation, because it was a lifesaver for me. Like, I was literally falling apart at the seams. And yeah, being able to now get, a proper amount of sleep at night, you feel a lot more normal. Don't get me wrong, it is still hell in the daytime. And, I'm trying to get ways of dealing with that. I'm awaiting my referrals for treatment via the NHS. I believe I've got some CBT coming, and other coping mechanisms to help deal with it. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And I guess I'll report back once I've had some of that. I've so far only had a kind of like well-being kind of workshop thing that they referred me to. And it was very disappointing. There was a room full of people with a whole spectrum of needs for well-being therapy, not just tinnitus, sort of mental issues of all sorts of shapes and sizes. So it was kind of like the poor guy at the front was trying to shoot us with a blunderbuss full of marshmallows. It was okay for a while, but there wasn't really anything I could take from it. I didn't feel like the examples that they gave me about finding things that you really enjoy and relaxing, or ways of de-stressing. You should do more of those. But I'm a singer, and my thing was singing, but unfortunately singing seems to make it worse. Obviously, noise and so forth. That's probably why I've got it in the first place, because I spent a good decade in bands and as a DJ, standing right next to very loud speakers or in front of very loud bands. I've sang in jazz bands with 20-piece brass behind you sort of thing. And I didn't wear any kind of protective hearing during those times. So yeah, Pretty sure that's what's done it. But there we go. Can't do anything about that now other than deal with the situation. And staying positive is definitely the hardest part of it. Yeah, it's, there is the noise, but the depression that it causes, the constant bothering of it. And unfortunately, talking about it makes you notice it more. Like right now, I'm struggling to almost hear myself because of how loud it is, particularly on this side. I get it in both, but it's particularly bad on my left side. And whilst this is, Tinnitus Week, it's probably also, the right time to sort of say a little bit more about how I feel about it, because it's not something that you feel comfortable talking about. It's an illness that no one can see, so everyone looks at you and thinks, well, there's nothing wrong with you. Just get on with your job or whatever. But it's things like if you on the telephone, you can't really use a telephone as efficiently as you once did because you're struggling to hear people, especially if people have got different accents and stuff that you're not used to. It's really hard to kind of pick up sometimes, and I find like I have to ask people to repeat themselves all the time. But also, in terms of why don't people talk about it maybe a bit more, is I think my biggest fear as someone with tinnitus is that if I describe it too accurately, what if you start hearing it? Because I don't want to inflict that on anyone. I think that is kind of my main reason why I don't talk about it. Is there's kind of that. It seems a nonsense. It must be a nonsense. But I've not heard silence for so long that I would hate anybody else to lose the joy of silence. Yeah. So obviously, you hear people say it's an isolating condition, and it is. You kind of want to ball up and just hide from the world, and I think it is that seeking of silence again. I think if maybe if I just find that space on my own, maybe I'll find somewhere where there'll be nothing again. I don't know. I'm not an expert on it, just, my own experiences, but I think that's maybe a little bit of why. I know I have become a lot more reclusive in the last couple of years. Also, like, I have little tells as well. So, for example, I'm always wearing a beanie, and that's because I'm kind of bald, and middle-aged and therefore paranoid about it. But other than that, I found that with a woolly hat, if I'm really struggling, I can just do this, and the kind of sound right by my ear of my thumb rubbing against the wool creates a kind of rustly, static sound that's almost like rain noise, and it will distract from it for a while. It looks weird, right? If you're sitting talking to somebody and they're doing this. Yeah, it's like my alien hand is trying to sex me up. But I have to do this sometimes. I'm the guy that sits on the bus doing this. Yeah, I wouldn't sit next to me either. I'd probably, sit behind me and maybe film it and put it on Twitter and go, what the hell's this guy doing? He loves his ear, right? He's got a sexy thumb. Yeah. There's another little trick as well, which I picked up on a Tumblr article, I think it was, which is covering your ears, and behind you latch your fingers like this, and you click down quite firmly onto the base of your neck, whilst pressing on and covering your ears. And you do that like 30 times. And that kind of works. I was really surprised the first time. It gives you probably, I think I would say up to 5 or 10 minutes of just completely knocking off the sound. It's incredible. The first time, it's a beautiful little trick. I'm not quite sure why it works, but it does for a very short time. The problem is you can't keep doing that all the time, otherwise you end up getting a headache because of how much pressure you're hitting on the back, at the very base of your skull. Well, your skull means your neck, essentially. Kind of, that's the point your fingers are kind of clicking onto. I'm not sure if I can do this and show you at the same time, but it's kind of like this. I'm not sure if I got that in shot or not, but there we go. Okay, well look, I've been banging on over 10 minutes. I think I'll leave it there for now. I might do another one of these at some point. Incidentally, you'll see I'm sat in a plastic roofed conservatory, my new house. But the joy of it, when it's raining, this is a sweet spot. So this is a little corner of the world that I get a little bit of cover sound from, and a bit of joy. Shame it's not a bit warmer. There we go. Good luck to everyone. If you've got tinnitus, seriously, good luck. The Bluetooth headband that I use is by a company called Sleep Dog. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but if they want to sponsor me, that would be great. I could do with a new one. I've had that set for quite a while now. But there we go. But yeah, treat yourself to a pair, basically, if you've not got them yet, because I think you'll find it will give you some peace. All right, good luck. Bye for now.